Crawford?
I don't think he's as good as people say he is. I mean, you could debate me on that. I think I'm a better fighter.
I don't give a fight him. I'll beat the shit out of him. I feel like in my heart, and that's.
Terence Crawford responded to Ryan Garcia's criticism, expressing frustration that Garcia didn't believe he was a worthy opponent.
Listening, I would love to fight you. I feel like I would literally beat the shit out of you. You're a good fighter, but I don't think you've ever fought somebody with talent and explosiveness and power.
No, he ain't like that, bro. Terence Crawford is an overhyped bum, bro. I'm sorry. Somebody gotta say it. You're an overhyped bum, bro. I'm looking at the camera right now. You suck, bro.
Ryan Garcia has been calling out Crawford for a while, even before his fight with Devin Haney. Crawford, however, had not responded much, if at all, until now. Garcia went on to label Crawford as overrated, citing his lack of interest in facing him.
I'm in my prime. He didn't look good his last fight. I can fight him at 154 if he wants it.
So you truly think that Terence Crawford's overrated?
I do.
Well, he's never lost, but you think he doesn't have any quality wins?
I don't think he's ever fought a generational talent ever in his life.
Wow, and you're that guy.
Of course.
You think you're the first guy to give Terence Crawford his first loss?
The harsh comments Garcia made have been circulating online, prompting a response from Terence Crawford. Garcia claimed that Crawford hadn't fought anyone with significant power, which is why he believes the undefeated champion wouldn't know how to handle a fighter like him.
I mean, you beat Sean Porter. Sean Porter's a great fighter, but kind of basic. Errol Spence Jr. came off a crash. Don't think he's that good. Have you fought anybody with one-punch knockout power? No. So, I feel like Bud Crawford is over.
Garcia called out Terence Crawford during a live session on X, where Crawford confidently addressed the crowd. Garcia, in his prime, told Crawford that if he agreed to fight him, it would be the best payday Crawford ever had. This bold challenge from Garcia labeled the undefeated champion as boring and suggested he had nothing new to offer.
And I would actually fight him. There's a difference. I would actually fight him. Now, if he doesn't want it, that's not my fault. If he doesn't think it's a match, that ain't my fault. He's not a draw. He doesn't bring anything to the table. He's boring but I would probably give him the biggest payday of his life if he
It's important to remember that Ryan Garcia has been criticizing someone with a perfect record of 41-0, including 31 knockouts. Terence Crawford is a 3-division world champion, lightweight, WBO title, light welterweight, where he became the undisputed champion, holding all 4 major belts, WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF, and welterweight. As of 2023, he unified the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO titles in the welterweight division, cementing his status as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in boxing history. Brian "Bulldog" McIntyre, Crawford's longtime trainer, weighed in on the potential fight between Crawford and Ryan Garcia. He dismissed the matchup, stating that Terence could handle Garcia even in his sleep, and suggested that the fight wouldn't be competitive. McIntyre also emphasized that while there could be financial rewards from the fight, it wouldn't be worth it, implying that it wouldn't be a challenging contest for Crawford. He added, "All money ain't good money." Despite the criticism from Garcia, Crawford has maintained his image of grace and power. In a recent tweet, Crawford responded positively to a statement made by Garcia about the state of boxing. Crawford agreed with Garcia's view that the current system needs change, writing, "I couldn't agree more, Ryan Garcia. The system we had isn't going to fix this. We have to think differently. Look at every other sport that is building empires. They're doing it right. Us fighters need to come together. We can fight in the ring but work together for our sport and our families." Ryan Garcia's fight with Devin Haney continues to make headlines due to the controversy surrounding it. Garcia was seen drinking and smoking before the fight, but Crawford reacted respectfully to Garcia's openness. Crawford acknowledged Garcia's authenticity, recognizing that he's not hiding who he is. He commended Garcia for having the courage to be transparent, especially knowing how many people look up to him.
He's living in his own truth. You know, he's not hiding behind the doors or hiding in the closet about who he really is. So he's comfortable with who he is, and he accepted who he is, and for him to come out and say that, it takes a lot of guts, because he know a lot of people is looking up to him, a lot of people want to be him, and so forth. But
in a tweet on April 12, 2024, Ryan Garcia showed a mix of respect for Terence Crawford's accomplishments but reaffirmed his desire to fight and defeat him. This kind of brash talk is nothing new, as Garcia has been calling out Crawford even before his fight with Devin Haney. The drama surrounding Garcia has included everything from his suspension due to a failed drug test to his heated exchanges with other athletes. His call-outs to Crawford, which often come across as personal and aggressive, seem designed to provoke a fight. Despite Crawford's focus on other rivals, Garcia wrote, "I respect Crawford and what he's achieved, but I want to kick his ass." Crawford responded to Garcia's latest tweet on September 20th, addressing accusations that he's only fought lower-tier opponents. He highlighted his significant contributions to the sport and confidently declared that, despite the criticism, his name will always be remembered in boxing history. He tweeted, "I didn't do all this to be fighting bums. Haters are going to hate, but my name will forever be stamped in the history books." In another tweet, Crawford reflected on how people today often seek attention through social media. He suggested that some fighters or individuals stir up controversy just for likes and online fame, contrasting this with his own approach of staying focused on his career and maintaining composure. He wrote, "I just try to be cool, but nowadays, people do stuff for attention and likes."
When he fought at the lower weight classes, he was definitely weight bullying. He was huge. He's not just talented, skillful, he was bigger than everybody. So, pause. So you know that he was going to dominate everybody there. All right, everybody up to 140. Now 147 wasn't fighting much. Kell Brook, over the hill. Sean Porter, 1 foot out. And if you think that Errol Spence fight was the best Errol Spence you ever seen, you're fooling yourself just to give love for that fight. A lot of people aren't saying what we all really know. Errol Spence washed, bruh. That Errol Spence that showed up against Crawford was washed. If you want to keep it real, it is.
While Ryan Garcia's last fight was surrounded by significant drama, Terence Crawford's most recent bout took place on August 3, 2024, against Israel Moff. Crawford won the fight by majority decision, with scores of 116 to 112, 115 to 113, and 115 to 113. This victory earned him his 4th world title in a different weight class, making him a 4-division world champion. Despite some challenges in the middle rounds, Crawford controlled the fight in the latter stages. His sharp tactical skills and experience helped him secure the win after going the distance for the first time since 2016. Even at 37 years old, Crawford showed he remains a top fighter, fueling speculation about future big fights. The Terence Crawford vs. Moff fight, however, struggled to create substantial financial success through pay-per-view, with reports showing a loss of over $10 million. This highlights the challenges even well-backed international boxing promotions face, especially when key figures like Turki Elik are involved. The event's difficulty in drawing a larger audience signals the risks of promoting major boxing matches across global markets. Jeff Mayweather also commented on the reaction to Crawford's performance against Moff, noting that many fans felt Crawford's punches weren't as powerful as they were in lower weight classes. Mayweather acknowledged that Crawford could still perform well against Canelo Alvarez if he prepares properly, but also pointed out the doubts raised after the Moff fight. Despite these concerns, Mayweather emphasized that taking risks is crucial to achieving greatness in boxing. He said, "I think that if he prepares right for Canelo, he's going to do well. But the one thing is this, right now, after seeing this fight, a lot of people are going to think that he's not going to be able to beat Canelo, and he might not. But the thing is, that's part of being great, you take risks." Chuz the Adult also offered his critical perspective on Crawford's past efforts and the opponents he faced. According to Chuz, Crawford wasn't just skilled and talented, but he was also physically bigger than most fighters in those categories, giving him an edge. He continued, saying that when Crawford moved up to welterweight, his opposition wasn't as strong. Chuz pointed out that fighters like Kell Brook were past their prime, and Sean Porter had 1 foot out of boxing.
Time, Terence Bud Crawford is one of the greatest fighters of all time. But Ryan's right. Now let me tell you why he's right. Because that's what fighters do today. That's the culture today. You want to know how I know? Ryan Garcia. What's your best win? Devin Haney? You pop fostering. You get what I'm saying? The one, you got an asterisk by your one great win. And that's Devin Haney, you pop fostering. You give.
Chuz the adult commented on Crawford's performance in lower weight classes, suggesting that he was weight bullying due to his size advantage. He explained that while Crawford is undoubtedly talented and skillful, he was also much bigger than everyone else in those divisions, which contributed to his dominance. Chuz pointed out that Crawford was essentially too strong for his opponents up to 140 pounds. Moving to 147 pounds, Chuz argued that Crawford's opponents weren't at their best. He mentioned fighters like Kell Brook, who was past his prime, and Sean Porter, who was on the brink of retirement. Chuz also criticized Crawford's win over Errol Spence, claiming that the version of Spence who showed up against Crawford was washed. He said, "If you think that Errol Spence fight was the best version of Spence you ever saw, you're fooling yourself. That fight, the Spence that showed up, was washed. Let's keep it real."
It's a lot of things that I could say right now that I'm not going to say, but there's a change that needs to be made in the sport of boxing, and I think that change.
Chuz the adult, while praising Terence Crawford as one of the greatest fighters of all time, admitted that Ryan Garcia had valid points in some of his criticisms. He noted that these criticisms reflect a broader issue in boxing today, where many fighters don't consistently build a strong record of high-quality wins. Chuz mentioned that even Ryan Garcia's best win, against Devin Haney, had some controversy surrounding it due to the circumstances of the fight.
Yesterday, they text me. They text me and say, we can talk about the fight in February with Crawford. Yeah. They text me yesterday, and I say, look, I'm not gonna talk about any other fight. I'm focused 100% on this fight. Look, I don't like the way he talk, and I'm not in this position because of any. I'm in this position. If he wants to work with me, it's in my way, not in their way.
What was
I don't need it.
What didn't you like about how he approached? Like, what was?
It's not the way to approach. It's not the way to approach to me. Look, I respect everybody and I respect Turkey, but look, if he wants to work with me, it need to be in my.
Chuz the adult continued, explaining how Ryan Garcia's perspective on Terence Crawford's career highlights a larger problem within boxing. He acknowledged that Crawford's career could be logically criticized based on the level of opposition he has faced, which provides room for critics like Garcia to challenge his greatness. Chuz observed that in today's boxing environment, it's common for a fighter's best wins to come with some doubts. He emphasized that this is something they're trying to change in the boxing world. Chuz further explained that Ryan Garcia's approach allows for a logical case against Crawford's legacy, but that's not the case with boxing legends like Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, or Floyd Mayweather. He said, "You can't make the same criticisms against those guys. They fought the best in their eras, leaving no doubt about their greatness." He continued, "Even Floyd Mayweather, who gets a lot of scrutiny for his later career, fought almost everyone in his prime and left no room for doubt." Chuz concluded, "You can't do that with Sugar Ray Robinson, Leonard, Hagler, or Ali, and you can't even do that with Floyd Mayweather. At the end of the day, he fought them all despite his one-year suspension due to a failed drug test. Ryan Garcia remains a significant figure in boxing. He has already set his sights on a 2025 return, ruling out a rematch with Devin Haney due to a legal dispute and instead focusing on Terence Crawford." Garcia described Crawford as boring and overrated, claiming that he would beat the stuffing out of him. However, Garcia's suspension means he won't be able to fight until April 2025, leading fans to wonder whether a fight with Crawford will happen. Crawford recently addressed Garcia's opinions and the state of boxing, hinting that there's much more he could say about Garcia but chose to remain silent. He acknowledged that changes need to be made within the sport and suggested that a shift in how boxing operates is on the horizon.
Him off is so awkward, right? His herky-jerky, like bobblehead style, feinting and all that, like, that's a tough match for anybody. I mean, even I think Boots will have a hard time with matching him off. I mean, he'll beat him, but, I think a lot of these guys, Virgil Ortiz, I think they'll all have a hard time with matching him off. And people are not, like, giving that guy enough credit. Canelo's more of a stand in front of you. Yeah, he has good head movement, but he's not like herky-jerky. He's going to be there for you. And so, what did it show me? What did it prove to me? I mean, it proved to me that Bud will be competitive with him. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It didn't prove to me that Bud will, go in and annihilate Canelo. But I think it'll be a great fight. You know what I mean? I think it'll be a great fight. And I think that,
Terence Crawford has been actively pursuing a high-profile fight with Canelo Alvarez, hoping it would not only cement his legacy but also bring in a substantial payday. Coming off dominant victories against Errol Spence Jr. and Israel Moff, Crawford is eager for the Canelo bout, believing it would enhance his reputation and significantly boost his earnings. However, negotiations have hit a stumbling block, primarily due to financial disagreements. Canelo's team has reportedly set a high price for the fight, and these financial terms have been a major barrier to moving the fight forward. Canelo Alvarez himself expressed frustration with how Terence Crawford's team approached him about a potential bout. He made it clear that his career success has been built on his own efforts, not because of anyone else's influence. Canelo emphasized his newfound freedom in making decisions and stated that if he were to collaborate with Crawford, it would have to be on Canelo's terms, not Crawford's.
Huge glossy record. He's only got 10 wins, no losses, and a draw, so he's very green in terms of his professional career, but he was a top-notch amateur. I remember being at I can't remember if it was his professional debut or his second fight. They were already matching him with legitimate guys. They knew that this kid could move fairly quickly, like we've seen some of the other top amateurs that have come into boxing. They don't have to screw around with a whole bunch of 4-rounders and 6-rounders and that sort of thing. Fighters all develop at their own pace. They were okay to match him more aggressively at the beginning of his career.
Rafael also noticed that in their face-off there appeared to be no major size difference between Crawford and Madrimov, which might surprise some given the weight class transition.
They're about the same size. There didn't look to be any kind of massive size difference.
Despite Crawford's interest in chasing this mega fight, Canelo's financial demands may be too high for the bout to happen at this time. Eric Roman pointed out that while Israel Moff's unconventional style created significant challenges for Crawford, he might find more opportunities in a fight against Canelo due to Canelo's more traditional approach. Roman was quick to clarify, however, that this doesn't mean Crawford would dominate Canelo. Instead, he stressed that a potential fight between the two would be highly competitive and entertaining. He added that while an easy win for Crawford is unlikely, the matchup would definitely be closely contested.
I was ringside when Madrimov won his last fight. That was for the title, wasn't it? That was his shot at the title. It was very good. I've seen him on TV, but when you see him up close, I always soak up a little bit more when you see fighters up close. He's very, very good. Powerhouse, yes. Clever, yes. Boxing ability, yes. Crawford's going in right at the top level at 154. It's not like he's gone up another weight division and thought, you know what, I'll dab my toes at it. I've been out for a while. I'll just see how it is in these cool waters. He's gone straight.
Terence Crawford's urgency to secure a fight with Canelo Alvarez has led him to take risks that might seem reckless. After retiring and spending a year out of the ring, Crawford doesn't have the luxury of time to gradually work his way into the 154-pound division. With his sights set on a potential Canelo fight in 2025, Crawford's promoter, Terence Ellick, pushed for a bout with Israel Moff. Crawford had little choice but to agree, given the circumstances. At this stage in his career, with time and inactivity working against him, taking on Moff is a necessary step to get closer to the big payday from fighting Canelo. Joey Diaz added his perspective on Moff, saying, "When he's in the ring, he's very complicated. You can watch a video of Israel and form an opinion, but it's totally different when you're in the ring with him. His unpredictable style makes him a formidable opponent, unlike anyone Crawford has faced, even among other Eastern European fighters." Diaz also praised Moff's impressive sparring sessions with Dmitry Bivol, saying, "I've seen him spar against Dmitry Bivol when he was preparing for Canelo. I was amazed. This kid is 154 pounds and is doing great against a 175-pounder." Dan Rafael also weighed in on Crawford's fight with Moff, expressing excitement about the historical significance of the bout. He noted that Crawford's move into the 154-pound division will establish him as a dominant figure in the weight class. Rafael said, "I think at 154 pounds, Crawford would probably be the favorite against anyone in the division right now. Whether it's Fundora, Moff, Charlo, name any fighter in that category, and Crawford would likely be the favorite." He also highlighted the anticipation around the fight due to the title on the line, saying, "It's an intriguing fight with an available title, and they're going to make a big show out of it. I'm excited for it." Rafael remembered how impressed professionals were with Moff during his debut, acknowledging his potential for future dominance in the sport.
Favorite guys to watch. Phenomenal. Best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler.
Yes.
You know,
We tried to promote that fight, and he had a choice like we all do, and he chose to do what he needed to do, and he was successful with it. Absolutely a technical, serious, mentally strong, and definitely can be around as long as he wants to.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah, he's a bad man. And there's a good crop of people like that.
Caldwell also addressed Crawford's move to a higher weight class, acknowledging Crawford's undeniable skill but pointing out that he is still vulnerable to being hit. This could become an even more critical factor as Crawford faces bigger opponents. Caldwell commented, "Let's not forget, Crawford does get hit. He's not some super defensive fighter who never gets touched. Sooner or later, you always think, I started off at lightweight and have been moving up, and eventually, you're going to hit that level that's just a little bit too much." He wasn't sure if Crawford's move to a higher weight class would be the breaking point, but he warned that it could be a significant factor in the matchup. Joe Rogan and Bernard Hopkins also weighed in on Crawford, praising him as one of the most exciting fighters to watch in boxing. They both agreed that Crawford is a phenomenal switch hitter, with Hopkins even comparing his ability to switch stances successfully to that of boxing legend Marvin Hagler. They recognized that Crawford made the right choices to promote and execute his fights successfully, showcasing both technical brilliance and mental toughness.
I believe Ryan, when he said he's going to box him, he's not going to get into his emotions and try to show bravo like he's getting to a shootout.
Both fighters have their strengths, but questions remain about whether Ryan Garcia's speed and explosiveness can overcome Crawford's technical brilliance and experience. What's your take? Can Ryan's power and youth match up against Crawford's skill and flexibility? Drop your ideas in the comments below and be sure to like this video and subscribe to stay updated on all things fighting.